Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. This is my last video of 2022. The year sure flew by quickly. Today I'm going to be working on my Norway Maple. My Norway Maple was always a strong grower, and then it started getting weak, and it got to the point where I didn't want to repot it because it was so weak, and then it just kept getting weaker and weaker, and I thought, well, I'm going to try repotting it. And I did that last spring, and oh my goodness, did it have a good growing season. It recovered like crazy. Now I did find some grubs in the soil. I think they were crane fly larvae, and I believe they eat roots. So I'm thinking maybe that was part of the problem. I don't know, but after I repotted it, it just took off and grew so well this year, I guess. And it was so exciting to see it recovering because it was just withering away. Every time I started growing in apex, it would die back. And every time I pruned it, it would die back. It was just going really badly. But after the repotting, it just had this super fantastic year of strong growth. It came back really healthy, had a really good season. So that was encouraging. That leads me to my question now. Does it need repotting this year? And that's one I can only answer by pulling it out of the pot and seeing what the root system's like in the soil to see if it's root bound or to see if there's enough space to grow for another season. Now maples, when they're growing healthy, a lot of people recommend 1 to 2 years between repotting at the most. So this could very well be root bound. I can see, there's a root growing on the surface of the soil down there. So I think the only way to answer this question is to pull it out. Now, I'm not going to pull it out today. I'm going to wait till spring, when it is repotting season, when it's closer to spring, when the buds are really swelling, the leaves are just about or have just started to come out, and then I'll pull it out of the pot, see if it needs root pruning and repotting. If it doesn't, I'll just put it back in the pot and let it grow for another year. But today I'm going to prune up the structure on the tree. After that super good growing season, I have confidence now the tree is nice and healthy and I can prune it back. We've been having some nice warm weather lately, and I closed the valve on my cube to get some water to refill all my water barrels. And I'll show you what happened in one night. It was raining lightly last night, and I expected to get a little bit of water in the bottom of the cube. However, I have collected 600 liters of rainwater. I do not need 600 liters of rainwater. Probably these 2 buckets will be enough to top up all my rain barrels. Today I'll finish topping off all my rain barrels, the one in the greenhouse here and the one in the plant room. And then I'll probably end up draining all that good rainwater once again. I hate doing that, but I don't want my cube to freeze solid in the winter. It could crack the plastic. So we're getting warm weather for probably another week, and then I'll have to drain it all out for the winter once again. I've always liked growing this Norway Maple as a bonsai. It's getting a really cool root spread. You can see it here, how wide it is at the base of the tree. I think it looks really good. It's getting a lot of character on the trunk. I find them quite nice as bonsai. I mean, they're not as fine a growing a tree as a Japanese maple or anything, but you can still make a pretty cool looking tree out of a Norway maple. And I have no plans to keep this to a certain size. Probably it will end up like a medium to a large size bonsai many years down the road. So yeah, I'll just keep developing it and see what it turns into years ahead in the future. I'm going to start today's work by rotating the tree around and looking for the best front. I think this was the front last time I repotted it, and it may still be the best front, but let me just rotate it around and we'll see. I've got the camera kind of zoomed in so you don't see the pot, which is just a kind of an ugly mica pot. And you don't see all the tall branches growing up top, which will get pruned back anyway. Just kind of the focus is on the trunk line and the root base and, you know, the basic branch structure. So here is the current front. And it looks pretty nice. I like the way the trunk comes up and sweeps up into this trunk line as the apex. It's very, very nice. All the branches are placed nicely in this view. So I'll rotate it around clockwise. Here, the trunk kind of goes away from you a bit too much. It kind of goes away and then comes back. It's all right. You're starting to see some of the dead wood here, which I left this stump here. This branch was alive, but it didn't make it. It died off. So I can then carve this bump off here, and hopefully you can see the callus here. Hopefully it'll roll over and heal that wound someday. So I don't think anything in this view is very good. I'm coming around to the back side now. This is the back. The nabari, or the root base, looks really good in this view. This would have to be the trunk line, and this is a back branch. And I don't think that's suitable because this one's thicker and more powerful. So I think, and here, you know, you got a branch to the left, branch to the right, and the main trunk kind of goes away from you. It's not very suitable. So I think the only choices for a front are kind of here and my present front. And so far, I'm liking the present front. I think it's just fine. So that's how I'll style it. This is the front view. I'm going to begin the pruning now, and I'm looking at this main trunk line. It comes up here and it kind of sweeps. You can see this section is sort of a C shape, and there's no taper and no real angular movement. It does curve, but it's a very smooth curve. It could look okay as it matures in the future, but I think I'd be better to reduce it. Maybe back to like here. Have this as a branch and this is the trunk line. Maybe. I'm just looking at it. I have one out the back here that kind of runs parallel to it. I don't think I want to chop like this whole section off and have this as the leader. It doesn't come forward enough. This one is very vertical, which is all right, I think. And I think this is a nice horizontal branch. So I think that's the good solution, is to cut it off here at this junction, have this as the leader, and this is a horizontal branch. I think that would be pretty good. My only other option is to like prune it off here, keeping this sweeping part and kind of regrowing this as the apex. Again, I just feel this section is too uniform with no taper and no kind of twisty movement. I think it's just too long of a sweeping curve to keep. So that's going to come off. So here I go. I'm going to kind of roughly prune it, and then I'll come in and clean up the cut. So here I go, big cut coming up. Good hardwood on these maples. There it is. Can I count the rings on it? Let me see if I can. Now that's just that new piece of growth there. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About 6 years in this piece. This Norway maple was grown from a seed. It was just a volunteer seedling in the front garden, and I kind of pruned it and let it grow over probably 10 years, and then I dug it up and put it in a training pot, and I've been developing it ever since. So at present moment, I think this is probably, it's over 20 years old. I've done the big chop here now, and you can see it's not bleeding at all because the tree is dormant. So I'm going to clean up that cut, making it as flush as possible. Coming in, nibbling away. I think to about there. That's getting there. A little more work. Now I should get my ball nose pruners, and I'll come in and just clean this area up. I think that is good. I think that's a nice cut here. Now I will seal that with my rubber cement. I don't want it drying back and possibly killing these two branches. So if I didn't want to use, a sealant here, I would have left a stub to dye back and then cleaned it up later on. But because I'm using sealant, I pruned very, very close to the other branches. So that's sealed up now with rubber cement. Now, these two branches here, I've got the one going up vertical, and I don't want a straight stick like that, so I'm going to have to prune it back. So I'm looking for buds. I have one here, which is nice. It would kind of grow outwards a bit. I have one on the opposite. I've got one at the front here, one at the back. And then after this internode, I go right up to here. So this is too tall, so I'm going to prune it back to this internode, so I'll come halfway between the two sets of buds and prune it off there. My branch out the bottom, I have a bud on the bottom, one on the top, one on the side, one at the back. I think I'm going to have to come back to here. Again, halfway between the internodes. And I'll also seal these up because I don't want them dying back. And also in spring, you can get a lot of bleeding from some of these cuts if you don't seal them. Now it helps doing it this time of the year because they have all winter to kind of heal a bit. And in the greenhouse here, even though, the trees are dormant, there is some metabolism in this tree, so it will kind of repair some of these cuts over the winter. It may be very, very subtle, but there will be something that happens in that area. Now that branch out the back, again, this one is pretty straight, but I have a lot of branches to select from here. So I'm looking at the front view. Yeah, I do like this one coming off of here. This is still a little bit straight. I could go to this one, but it's kind of coming towards this branch. I think I'll keep both of those. So I've got this branch, this one here and this one here are good. That's how my branch will divide from 1 to 2. So I'll prune off everything above that. I'll do a rough cut here, a rough cut here, and then I'll take this back and back again. That's pretty good there. And then I don't want this one going up the middle here, so I'm going to rub that off like that. And again, I'll seal that cut, make sure it is sealed up for the winter and spring. There. So that branch now comes up, divides from 1 to 2. That should be quite fine. Now, you'll notice on this tree, I have the main trunk line, and then I have it dividing from one trunk. It divides into 3 here. I've got my main trunk line as one branch or trunk. I have a branch here and a branch here. Many, many, many maples you'll see in nature have a group of branches coming from one spot. So it's very characteristic of a maple to have that. If it creates bulging here, well, that's what maples do. I'm not worried about that. Now, I'm going to do some pruning on this branch here. You can see I have a really healthy looking bud here. I don't think this branch is alive. It doesn't look alive, and it's not alive. It's brittle, so I'm going to prune that off. Yeah, so that's gone. Now this branch is alive. You can see there's some big, healthy looking buds up there. Now, if we look at the rest of this branch, I've got kind of a large sweeping section, coarse looking growth. there's no change of direction or taper in this length, which is not good. I don't want that on this tree. I want to keep it kind of twisty and miniature looking. So that branch needs to be pruned back, and where is the question. I have dormant buds back here. There's nothing really in this section. I don't think there's any dormant buds at all in that section. So if I prune it back, it's going to have to be back to kind of here, and then new shoots will grow out of here. So I think that's what I'll have to do. It's just too long, this section. Too long, straight with no taper. So off it goes. I'll leave a bit for dieback, like that. And I'll also seal that cut up. Like that. Okay, how's it looking? Well, it's looking better. I mean, it doesn't have much of a branch structure, but that'll be coming next year. All these will ramify. And so I think the next step is to tackle this back branch or branches. You can see I have one growing from the base of this tree. I do like this part of the branch, so I do not want this new one here. I don't want double branches coming from the same spot, so that's going to be pruned back. I've got another bud down here. I'm going to take that off. And I have another bud up here I don't want. I'll take that off too. Yeah. And I will also seal those. I don't want any leakage on this tree. I don't want any possibility of insects sensing that there's a wound on the tree or anything. You can see here too I have buds. I don't think I want those either. They're out the back. I don't know. It's not the worst. I mean, it's another branch, the fourth branch in this area. I'll definitely rub these two off. I'll keep this one for now. Maybe it'll come off in the future. I don't know. Alright, so now I'm going to deal with this branch here, and looking from the front, it comes up and divides into a Y-shaped section there, which is alright. I've got a branch coming out the back here. I could reduce it back to there. It would be quite nice. Maybe. I kind of like it coming up here though. I think it's a good looking branch. So I'm going to look at this Y-shaped division here. And again, I've got that same problem with these long internodes, no taper, no budding in this area. So I've either got to take it back to stumps because there is some dormant buds at the base here, or have these live with these long sections. So let me look from the front. Yeah, I'm not really keen on those long sections. I think they have to go. I don't think, I know they do. So, off they go. So again, I'm relying on buds back in here. So I'll leave a bit of a stub. Here I go. Big cut coming up. Like that. And the same on this one. I've just got to prune it back to a stub. Another big cut coming up. There I go. And again, I'll seal those wounds. Just like that. And now there's an old wound here. I'm just going to put some rubber cement over it. I don't want anything boring in there. It's kind of soft wood. So that is sealed up. Alright, well, I can't do any more pruning on this tree. I've taken everything off. I'm going to keep this branch here. I think it might look good filling in as a lower branch, and these develop more as uprights. I'm looking at this dead wood now. Let's have a look at that. Here's a look at that dead wood. I left this living part up here which died off, so I think I better carve that back and eventually encourage callousing over this area. It'll take many years, but hopefully it'll get there someday. So here I go. I'll put these Chinese tools to the test. Cutting off my dead wood here. Oh, it's tough wood. I don't know if I want to put these tools to the test. I'm going to try the ratcheting loppers. I know they're strong. Deadwood can be very, very tough on trees. Oh, that's really strong. I don't know about that, using that either. It's coming. I'm going to be able to break that section off soon. It's cutting through here. There it goes. Okay, that's pretty good. And now I can just kind of carve that area back a bit with my tools here. Get my nibblers out. Where are they? They're hiding somewhere here. Here they are. Just trying to nibble back into some live wood here. There it is. When you see a little bit of green on your callus there, you know you're getting into the live wood. A little bit of bark came off. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to give this a coating of the rubber cement too, just to seal that all up. That'll keep water out of it, insects out of it, because there's a lot of kind of cracking in it. Sure doesn't hurt to seal it up. This rubber cement is very flexible, so it won't interfere with the callousing or anything. Okay, I think that's got it. Yep, that's good. All right, everything's sealed up. Here is a look at what came off the maple today. A few big branches, a few twigs, and a bit of deadwood. The tree is ready for the growing season. Let's have a look at it now. My Norway Maple here is a good example of a free tree, one that just started growing in my front garden. And I trained it slowly over many years as a bonsai. And I'm really happy with the results so far. I think it has the potential of maybe growing into a really nice show tree, far into the future. That is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Have a happy new year. I want to thank everyone for watching my videos over the last, 9 years now. I'm entering my 10th season. Very exciting. I'll see everyone on the next video in 2023. Have a good New Year's. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.